before diving into our introductions and introducing our guests, I'd like to take a minute to quickly show our support for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mhm.
And I'd request everyone for a quick moment of silence for the death of George Floyd. Thank you. With that, uh, I'd like to quickly jump into sort of the platform and get back into the session. So about the session, just to let you guys know, this is our second time we're doing the live stream. So
Yep.
again, feel free to leave comments in Facebook or YouTube, wherever you guys are watching. Those comments will pop up on our screen. So we'll be sure to answer them as we progress throughout the session. Along with that, I'd like to quickly give a shout out to anyone who was able to sit through the last session. We went about an hour and a half through, so that was a really, really long session.
It was an hour
And
and a half, and I did not sound good.
yeah,
I heard my own voice. I did not come off good. I don't think I want to be a vocal anymore.
yeah. So anyone who sat through that, just leave your name in the comment. We're really excited to see who was actually able to sit through the whole thing. So if you were able to sit through, let us know. We'd be happy to give you a shout out. So that's an amazing achievement already. But this session, I promise you, we're gonna cap it at about 30 to 45 minutes. So it is going to be a little more structured. With that, I'd just like to quickly introduce myself and my co-host. So I am Sid. I'm going to be a co-host for this session, and a little about myself. I'm currently a technology consultant at Tata Consultancy, working as a business analyst.
Yeah.
And I'd like to quickly jump onto my co-host, Shafruz.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sid. So I'm Sharfuz. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm currently working as an analyst in corporate development team at Hitachi Vantara, based in Boston, and it's pretty sunny out here. So you know what? I'm actually enjoying the East Coast now.
All right, and then just to quickly let me bring on Rhythm to the screen as well. So just to quickly introduce Rhythm from my perspective. So I know Rhythm for about 3 years at this point. We met in college. We're best friends, I guess, in college. And just to share a small story about us, me, Rhythm, and one of our friends in college, we went to Supercuts this one time to get a haircut. And when we came back, we came outside the store and we were like pretty satisfied with the haircut. But then we looked at each other, and we got our backs faded, and they were all like diagonally faded in a different direction. So that's sort of where me and Rhythm bond the most. I think that's one of the stories that I really like sharing. But with that being said, I'd like Rhythm to talk a little more about himself. So Rhythm, on to you.
Wow, thank you for that introduction, Sid. I wasn't sure if you're going to bring up Supercuts or something, but you still brought up Supercuts out of everything that we shared. All right. Having said that, I know both of you guys for a few years now, and I'm so proud of what you guys do, especially this platform that you just launched. I think it's a great initiative. And I'm happy to be a part of it, share my story. And through my story, if I can help someone, even if one or two people, I think that would be a great achievement for me and, of course, for the whole team.
That's really exciting. So Rhythm, how about you tell us a little bit about just your background about your college, first of all, and then a few things about what you're doing right now.
Couple things, yes. So I graduated from the University of Rochester last year. So I was in class of 2019. And then after I graduated, I was job searching for about 4 or 5 months or so. In the meantime, I was doing part-time, I was doing freelancing, a lot of things here and there. But I moved to New York City and I was trying to find a job there because a lot of people have told me, oh, you'll find jobs in New York City easily. It wasn't that easy. It was kind of, I don't know, it was a lot of hard work for sure and a lot of uncertainty as well. But dealt with all of that, moved past that phase of my life, finally got a job with Ring Central. It's a cloud-based phone company, and I currently work there as an associate solutions engineer. And I'm located in Denver, Colorado. So Colorado, beautiful Colorado. It's amazing. And I can talk about Colorado for an hour, but I'm not going to do that. So that's my current status. I was a student last year. Now I'm an associate solutions engineer with Ring Central.
That's really exciting. I haven't been to Denver, Colorado, but I definitely hope to visit you soon.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I personally have been to Denver, and it's amazing with the mountains and like the view. Oh my god! So you're definitely in a really good place there, and just
Yep.
enjoying the scenery. Yeah, but like I think Rhythm, just thanks for that quick intro, and I think a lot of our people listening in are college students. So why don't we?
Yeah.
I think we're just curious to just, start with what are some of the significant things that happened for you in college and how you navigated it. Maybe just starting off a little bit about your academics and some of the choices you made at that time.
Yeah, for sure. So when I started college, I was actually a chemical engineering major, and I knew that I wanted to do some sort of engineering going in, and I started with chemi. Soon found out after one semester that it probably wasn't the best idea. So I switched into computer science in my second semester. I think first semester of college for most people, especially people who are now in their first year, they can relate to it most because it happened to them recently. You
Yeah.
sort of figure out, what you're trying to do. So I was in that same situation, just making new friends, and I was an international student. So I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I moved here for college to New York. So that was a big transition. Just trying to get used to that. But the good thing about my college was it was really diverse. So it wasn't really hard to find new friends. So as soon as I went there, I found new people to hang out with, things that we shared in common,
Mhm.
all that. And like I said, so computer science happened in my second semester. And since then, I did not look back. I enjoyed the courses, some of them, not all of them. Some of them, I enjoyed it a lot. But overall, it was a great experience academically, and I'm glad that I had that experience.
Wow, that's really awesome. I just like love that how you just like went from chemical engineering to like computer science. So like
Right.
how crazy was that change though? Because it was still within engineering, but was that like like what made you realize that okay, that's something I'm done with chemi, or like I want to do comp sci?
So the thing is, I don't think you ever realize what you really want to do. You just have to go for it if you feel it at that point.
Yeah.
And then you sort of do a weigh in, like, was I happier in chemi? I thought I was happier in comp sci at that point,
Yeah.
but it might have been something else as well. So my suggestion for people who are going through that phase, especially freshman year and sophomore year students, is don't limit yourself to opportunities. I think it's better to expand that that thing, that okay, I might not like it, but let me just take a class, or just one class anyways, to see how I feel about it. And that's what happened to me, and that sort of changed my whole career path and overall life in a way. So it was a it was a fun experience. It could have gone wrong, didn't go wrong, so
It could have gone
glad.
worse.
You never know.
Yeah, that's great because I also moved into computer science from an econ, and I had no idea what I was doing at first. So definitely can relate. So, so what I'm pretty sure you can relate that
Yeah.
as well, right? Being a comp sci major.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, Rhythm, me, and Shafuz spent endless nights in the school library working on computer science projects.
Yeah.
So that was another really funny experience that we bonded on, because all three of us, we weren't really good at computer science, but
Oh, yeah.
we sort of stuck together, worked on projects and stuff, and really just trying to
Wow.
figure stuff out. So that's another funny thing. But I think something I'd really like to jump into, Rhythm, is your
Mhm.
on-campus jobs, because I know you were really involved on campus for student organizations, and you had multiple jobs on campus too. So could you speak to a little
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I think that's another thing that everyone should be looking into. I know we always go to college thinking about academics, and that's the first thing that in our mind. And then we meet people, we meet friends, and all that. But I think the best thing about college campus is it gives you that independence, and you sort of have to like go and grab that independence yourself, right? So college jobs or campus jobs are probably the best way to explore that independence, because you're making money for yourself. One, you're learning new skills, and you're figuring out a lot about your shortcomings too. So not only things that you're good at, but also things that you're not good at, and how you can work on those, right? So the same thing happened with me. Started a tutoring job. That was my first campus job. So I used to like tutor intro level math and intro level computer science for a few years. I think the first year or second year, so my sophomore year and junior year. And then I got another job in the campus career center. We call it the Green Center now.
Right.
So that was a big moment for me, because that was probably one of the roles that I'll always remember, because I interacted with a lot of students, but not as a tutor, but more like a mentor. So they would come to you. They would come to you with questions that that only we could have answered, and we were trained. So a few peer career advisors that were working in the career center at that time, I bonded with them. I bonded with my mentors, my colleagues in the career center, and throughout that experience, I learned a lot about not just how you approach job search, how you approach internships, but how you also build yourself over time, right? So it doesn't happen overnight. And that's what I used to like tell students when they used to come to me with resume help and networking questions and all that. I used to always tell them, like, look, a resume takes time to build, right? So it's not going to happen overnight, and that's a great life lesson as well that I learned from that job. That I got better over time. Other students who used to come visit me, my regular students, they got better over time. So that was a lesson that I learned from that job, as well as getting paid. Obviously, helped.
It's always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice. When you can buy your own chips and ice cream.
Chips and ice cream.
Go to Chipotle, like in College Town. Yeah.
I know that's my priority.
Yeah, that's really. I think that was one of the highlights of my college experience too, working at the career center. So
Yeah.
definitely a great team there.
I would relate to you guys, and I did interview, but things didn't work out.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. There's
You
a
don't
next time.
you don't get to do everything, Sharfus. You don't get to do everything.
But yeah. So I think another interesting thing, I think it was, so you mentioned that you're working at the career center, and that was a really good learning experience for you, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the other choices that you made? Like, just thinking, what about your other extracurricular activities? Like, did you, because so many students were all just trying to find out what we want to do, and student clubs are always such a big part.
Yeah.
How did you look into that? Were you involved as much, or how did you go about that?
No, I think a lot of options we have in our college, and that sometimes can be challenging, because when you have 100 clubs to join, which one do you go and join? I think for me, it was pretty obvious, because I was very focused on a couple things. So getting one of those campus jobs was one of my main focus, and I did that, which is obviously a resume booster as well. So it's not just getting paid, but also learning the skills for your future. In terms of getting involved with extracurricular activities, I did some dancing. So I was part of our Latin dancing club in the school. Other than that, I was also a study abroad student. So I actually spent a couple semesters in 2 different cities. So that was a great experience. And once I came back from my study abroad experience, or study abroad semesters, they made me a mentor for that as well. So our study abroad office made me a mentor. So that was also, I consider it as an extracurricular, not just a campus job, because you get to share your experiences. And I got to go to other events in other universities to talk about my study abroad experiences. So I made a lot of friends in other universities, believe it or not, because we all studied abroad.
Yeah.
So that was a cool thing to do. But then later I realized it wasn't just cool to study abroad. It also taught you a lot of life skills, which I later applied in my job search, or in general in life. So yeah.
No, that's really cool. I guess so. One thing is, I never got to study abroad myself. I did try.
Yeah.
But quickly, which countries did you go to? And why would you recommend study abroad for students? Or is this something like someone who's a first year or sophomore, should they consider it in their academic plan? And what is the takeaway from there?
Well, to me, the reason was, if there is an option to do it, why wouldn't I do it? So that's how I looked at it. And I wasn't sure if study abroad is right for me, but I knew that I wanted to do it, to figure that out. And the first one that I did was in Hong Kong, and I loved it. So if anyone's here who has some sort of ties to Hong Kong, shout out. But after I got back from Hong Kong, I spent one more semester in Rochester, my university, and then I figured out that, hey, why don't I do one more if I have the option to? And I did. I sort of worked out with all my courses. And then I also went to another study abroad, which was in the UK. So I spent one more semester in University of Bristol. So both of those semesters were amazing, taught me a lot, like I said, made me become friends with people outside the country. But if anyone is thinking about studying abroad, I highly recommend that you think about it seriously. So sometimes what happens is we think about it like it's a great option. We'll see if we do it. If you think about it like that, you probably won't end up doing it. So take it seriously, go talk to your counselors, to go talk to your advisors, and figure out a schedule that works for you, and go from there.
Right. No,
That's
I definitely
that's
need
really
to.
exciting.
Yeah. When I was
Yeah. So about your study abroad experience, I think something really cool is that you traveled to multiple places, and each time I remember whenever you traveled, you went to like the UK, you went to Bristol. I
Yeah.
would hear about your stories just traveling all around, and even going to Europe and stuff like that. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
But I quickly like to jump into our next segment about the job, because I know now you have a job successfully secured. So
Mhm.
let's sort of hear about your experience in the job market. Even before, let's talk about during college. I remember you secured a summer internship, which is really cool.
Right. Right.
So talk to us a little about that.
So again, I'll first talk to the audience. So if you are a sophomore or junior looking into internships, let me tell you, it's really important to do something over the summer, especially in the United States, because job market here is very competitive. Now, I was very lucky that I got to do a summer internship in my junior year. It was a product management internship. And I knew that I wanted to get into some sort of role like that. So either a consulting role or a product manager role or a analyst role. So in that sense, I was very lucky that I got that job or that internship in my junior year summer, which is pretty rare for a lot of people to get that. Once I did get that, it actually opened a lot of doors for me. So it was with a big company. So obviously it was a resume booster too. People knew the name. But other than that, you meet a lot of people during your internship, and that they stay your lifelong friends. You meet a lot of mentors, your managers. If you build the right relationship with them, it can take you very far in life, right? So, but those are the things that you do after you get the internship. Before you get the internship, you do have to realize that it's not that easy, and there are so many people applying for that one position, and you probably don't know how many, right? So very important to have confidence in yourself. Besides just working on your resume, working on your cover letters, I know many students, especially in college, focus on those things, right? Because that's what we are told to do, and that's what the first thing that comes to your mind. Like, okay, I'll have a great GPA, I'll have an amazing resume, and then that should get me a job. But it's usually not like that. That helps you to get that first initial interview, but then it's also your soft skills. For example, how you talk to people. Can you relate to the company? Can you relate to the position? How does your story align to their story? And all of those things. So those things take time to build and practice. But I would like to emphasis on that as much as building your resume, getting those technical skills nailed down and all that. And that helped me get that internship. So I'm talking from my experience.
That's really exciting to hear. So product management, was that something you were interested in before? Like what instigated you to get an internship in product management? Because your background was sort of with a computer science degree. Like what was sort of the incentive there?
I think computer science gives you that flexibility to go into different roles as well. Because you have that technical knowledge, you can apply it in different segments. And product management is one of those segments that work very closely with developers or engineers. So that helped me, because coming from that technical background, I already knew what the engineers were doing. So it was very easy to communicate. So sometimes you might be looking into positions which are specifically related to your degree. But the thing is, degrees don't teach you the skills. You teach yourself that skills, right? So if you have a degree, that's great. Or if you're working on a specific degree, you're getting that knowledge, but then you can learn about other things around that degree. right? Even if it's not directly related. And then you can apply
Right.
that. Then you can apply that for your internship, for your job search, or anything like that. So that's what happened to me. I knew that I was more interested in a businessy role, but with my tech degree and my tech background, I wanted to use that as well. So that's how product management happened. That it happened to work out.
Yeah, just to be on the same page, guys. We're not telling people to drop out of college, right? Just
No, I did not drop. None of us dropped out of college. You have to stay in college, guys.
Yeah.
College is fun.
Just wanted to see what the memo was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. I mean, that's really insightful, honestly. I think that really changes perspective quite a bit, Like, you don't have to be restricted with what you study in college. So here's my next question, Rhythm. So from product management, you jumped into a sort of a different role after graduation. What's your current role, and like, how did you get to be a solution engineer?
Okay, so first of all, a solutions engineer is similar to a sales engineer. So we work in the pre-sales part of that whole process, the customer process. And it was really interesting because I never knew what a solutions engineer is. So when I was doing my job search, and a lot of people might not have heard of that position, but that's the fun thing about job search. You find new things that you didn't know about. So I found out about solutions engineering, looked at the job description. It seemed exactly what I wanted to do. And it had that tech background, and it also had that aspect of talking to the customers, being outgoing and all that, and some travel aspect as well. So all of that sort of coincided with what I wanted to do. So I applied to a lot of solutions engineering positions, happened to get one of them. I would highly suggest solutions engineering to people who want that mix of technical work, but at the same time, some sort of human-to-human interaction or client interaction. If you are looking for something like that, I think sales engineering, solutions engineering is a great option. There is a lot of growth in that, and it's an industry that is constantly growing and will be growing for the next couple decades at least, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really great to hear. And that's very similar to what Evan Basta was doing when we had him last week. So that's really, really awesome to hear.
Just a coincidence, guys.
Yeah, it's a coincidence. And it was like, we're not only sticking to like solutions engineering or alternatives to computer science, being a software engineers.
I mean, most of my friends are software engineers, so they're amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So just quickly, for anyone just tuning in, we are almost halfway through. We're going to jump into our favorite section. It's actually the rapid fire section. So we're going to build up the pace a little here. So Rhythm, short answers, 1 word, 2 words. Let's get into it. Shafuz, you want to go ahead and get started?
Whatever comes to your mind, Rhythm. Okay, let's go. So 3, 2, 1. First question. Flaming hot Cheetos or hot fries?
Flaming hot Cheetos.
Okay. Your favorite book?
My favorite book? Wow.
Yeah.
The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Yep. Okay.
All right. Best travel destination or favorite one?
Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. So favorite Canadian artist, The Weeknd or Drake?
The Weeknd, always.
All right. One person, dead or alive, for dinner. Who would it be?
Aishwarya Rai. I mean, I just like that actress a lot. Everyone has their crushes, okay?
Aishwarya, if you're listening to this, then you can hit up Rhythm. But
yep, Aishwarya Rai, the Bollywood actress. Moving on, next question.
Yeah.
Your favorite movie?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. Okay, cool. So next question, and this is interesting. Dream lead cast to have you in your movie? Like the Brad Pitt. Okay. That makes sense because you are very passionate about film, so I was really curious about
that. No, I'm obsessed with Brad Pitt and his acting. It's amazing.
I'm surprised that one wasn't Aishwarya Rai.
I
don't want to go on a date with Brad Pitt, but I do want to go on a date with Aishwarya Rai.
The dinner thing, just so you know.
All right. Favorite class in college?
Favorite class in college? Microeconomics.
All right. Damn, I really struggled with that one. Um, favorite Greek life organization in college?
I wasn't part of a Greek life, but I know Sharfuz was part of Chi-Fi, so I'll go with Chi-Fi to make you
Hey,
happy.
that's all I wanted to hear.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. All right. Favorite host, Sid or Shafuz?
Oh, Sid. Easy.
Come on, it's 2-0 now. Come on,
It was
Evan.
easy. It was
We're keeping a tally of this, guys. So 2 for Sid and 0 for Shafuz so far.
Sharfuz, you'll do a late comeback. Don't worry.
What do I gotta do? But anyway, 2-0 now officially. Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, I think we should jump on to the main deep dive of today's session, which is
Right.
sort of, let's get back to the struggles and the persistence, the topic of that. So Rhythm, like part of your whole career, like after college and during your senior year in college too, was sort of being persistent to get a job after, right? So
Yep.
what was sort of your mindset like when you were going through commencement and you didn't really have a job during graduation?
Yeah, no, it's really hard during commencement and even harder after commencement, right? So you have a job, you're pretty much set, you know where you're going. But I think that transition, and especially for students who just graduated, wherever they may be in the US, UK, anywhere in the world, but you can probably relate to that. Not just because you graduated in this situation with the COVID-19 situation, but also after you graduate from college, you're sort of in that challenging transition phase of you don't know what to do next. And for me, since I was an international student, it was even harder because I didn't have a place to go to. So if you don't have your parents to go back to after college or after graduation, like what do you do? So for me, I didn't have a job at that time lined up. I was applying, obviously, I was worried. And that did have an effect on my commencement. I was probably not the happiest person, but like you said, like persistence was the key. I did not stop looking into jobs. So even after commencement, it took me a few months to get that job that I'm doing right now. So that whole process of job search, of applying, of interviewing over and over again, the only thing that kept me going was that virtue of persistence and having faith in yourself, because it can be very demoralizing if you are a new grad right now who just graduated and you probably are thinking, why did I graduate in this time, in this situation? Just remember that whatever situation comes at you, you can go through that. All you need to do is be very patient and persistent.
That's really awesome to hear, Rhythm. Just to get a count, how many applications did you submit during senior year to get a job?
Oh my god, I don't even know, like, but I'll do like a minimum. The minimum that would probably be is at least 50 to 60. That's the minimum range. 50 to 60 applications.
Wow.
And I did about like 10 final round interviews. So the 11th one was probably the one that got me the job, but I did like about 10 final round interviews.
Wow.
Yeah. That's actually a really good ratio. That's like what, almost 20%, if I'm not mistaken. That's really awesome that you had so much success.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the exact number for the interviews, but I don't remember how many applications I sent in. But I do suggest sending in as many applications as you can, especially if you're a senior, if you just graduated. Don't wait. The sooner you start, the more applications you will put in, and chances get higher if you put more applications in.
Yeah.
So we do have a question from the audience. I'd love to jump into that really quick. So Mas is asking, what approach would you use, or what approach did you use that was successful during these struggles after graduation?
Yeah, so that's a good question because it's all in your approach. That word approach that he used is a very powerful word, right? So you have to build your habits to build that persistence that I'm talking about. So a couple things that I used to do is I told myself like, hey, I need to build these very specific habits that are going to help me reach that goal. So for example, I used to send 20-25 LinkedIn messages every day to people. So if it was, if I had a mutual connection, that's great. If I didn't have a mutual connection, I would still send them. I would tell them that, hey, I'm interested in your work. I'm interested in what you do, and I think I see myself going there at some point. So can we connect? So besides LinkedIn messages, I also, since I was in New York City, it was a good opportunity for me to meet people. So I actually met up with a lot of people went on coffee meetings. So that was one. The other habit that I built over time was to look at my skills and write those things down.
Yeah.
Right. The reason is every time I used to like hear from an employer or after my first round, second round interview, whatever, I used to ask them for follow-up questions, and I found out the gaps in my skills. Right. So you'll see that when you're applying, when you're going through that process, that sometimes you have a gap between expectation and reality. You think that, hey, I have these skills, so I should be set. But then the industry requires some additional skills, or they don't care about some skills that you have. So find those gaps and work on those gaps throughout that process. So those are my 3 suggestions in terms of taking approach during that time. So obviously network, and then find out about those skills, write them down, and fill those gaps. And thirdly, you have to remember to not take it personally. And that was the most important thing for me. And sometimes I would like get really disappointed and even angry that, oh my God, okay, this is one funny example, going back to the guy who asked that question. One interviewer once told me, like, we were this close to hiring you. And I was like, how do you define this close? Like, what is the margin? And then he was like, oh, I mean, it was like 4 versus 5 votes. I was like, wow, like this is how unlucky I was. but the good thing is you have to learn to not take things personally. You have to like get up every time you feel like you're not getting what you deserve, because every time you get up, you boost your self-confidence little by little, and that self-esteem helps you get to the next round.
So that's a really great question, Moz. Thanks so much. And thanks, Rhythm, for the insight. Just a quick shout out to Moz. He's been helping us out with the platform as well. So Moz is helping us with the UI, UX design elements. So if you guys check out the website right now, it's a lot of contribution from Moz that's been put in there. So thanks, Moz.
Yeah, absolutely. Just check out the web and the brand design and stuff. We have a lot of exciting updates there coming up. But Rhythm, one thing I was really excited to ask you is that as an international student, you had to deal with OPT. And as a myself, I had a rough time getting my OPT approved, but you did not have a job at that time. You had to apply for OPT, and that's so much uncertainty, not just, I can't imagine, right? So what was that like? Even I'm also curious to understand a little bit about your personally and how you dealt with that level of stress.
So that's definitely an additional level of pressure for international students. So again, this goes to all international students who are studying in the US, graduated in the US, and I think it's the same for UK and a few other countries as well if you're hearing from there. If you do have that limited number of days where you have to find that job within those days, and otherwise I don't know what's going to happen. Either you get sent back home or you lose hope and all that. So I was in that situation too for a few months actually. So I needed to get a job by 3 months, 4 months. There was a timeline like that. So what I did was I started doing freelancing work. So that's my first suggestion to anyone who is in that situation, because you have to keep yourself busy, you have to keep yourself motivated. That's step number 1. If you only think about, okay, I'm going to get that job, at some point you're probably going to run out of time. If you're an international student, you have that limited amount of time, so you have to like start doing whatever you have or whatever you can find. So you keep yourself busy, but at the same time you always apply to as many places as you can. Again, it's a statistics, right? So if you apply more, chances are higher. That was one. But again, going back to how I dealt with it, there is no really like one simple answer. I think it becomes clear how you deal with it when you are going through it. For me, I probably like spoke to my family and friends a lot. That helped. I got a lot of advice from my mentors, and with all the people that I was connecting over the time, I was spending time in different cities. I was meeting different people, and through those people, I was getting interviews. So what happened is I realized that it was only a matter of time until I get that job, right? Because I was hearing back from a lot of people, and that boosts your confidence. So you should always think about that when you are going through that situation. You should always remind yourself of the good times that are ahead of you, and just keep yourself focused.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that legit 100%, and just like keeping yourself disciplined and like just motivated.
Right.
Hats off to you. I don't know how you did that, man, but that's hats off to you. That was crazy time. I mean, all of
Yeah.
us challenges, but that was insane and crazy. So yeah, I don't know.
Just to share my personal experience with Rhythm, I actually met up with him in New Jersey. So that restaurant story was actually a true story. So Rhythm was literally like jumping around city to city. I remember he was doing a lot of freelancing. He was working on this idea that he had. It was like an entrepreneurial project. And I was just so motivated by looking at his persistence in terms of like, he didn't have a job. He was like so happy to see me, and he was like, let's go, like, let's have dinner. I was like, wait, what? Like, this is so crazy. But Rhythm, just to get like a good count of the days, like how long were you unemployed after graduation?
Well, until I got that full-time job, it took me like 5 months after graduation.
5 months? Yeah, that's crazy. I remember I was traveling. I was in Florida at that time, and I got a call from Rhythm. Rhythm's like, dude, I have to tell you this. I just got my job, and I'm so excited. And I was like, wow, dude, this is perfect. This is like the best day ever.
Okay, so here's one quick add to that. So I wasn't getting any job for 5 months. Then I got 2 jobs at the same time, like in 1 week. So it's really funny, but ironic. And I know I called both of you guys, and I think Sarkut was also telling me like, oh, now you get 2 jobs. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But to add to Moss's question, I do have like one more thing that I want to share. And that's something that I personally did as well. And it's an exercise that anybody can use. You don't have to be job searching and all that. Even if you're a junior in college or sophomore in college searching for internships, you can use that. So what I did was I took a pen and a paper, wrote down all my achievements. Even sometimes, like when you stay up all night, you study, and then you get an A, it's an achievement, right? And it makes you feel good about yourself. Wrote down those things, wrote down my skills. So something that you taught yourself, you can definitely write those things down. Something that you learn, if it's a new language, instrument, write those things down. And also, most importantly, some stories about risks that you took and those things paid off, right? So that was really important for me. When I wrote those things down, I kept it in front of me, and I used to like look at those things. Over time, when I was feeling kind of low, I would just look at those things. I was like, oh my God, you went to this country, you like jumped off from a cliff, and you can't find a job. Like, you can definitely find a job. So yeah, that was really helpful, and that was really inspiring. So if anyone is going through that similar phase, I suggest like to keep your chin up. You write those things down, and not just like on MS Doc. Just write those things down, keep it in front of you, and look at it from time to time. It's a great exercise. It helps.
Yeah, I love that. I think I definitely want to do that. I have not considered doing that. It definitely is like a positive reinforcement right there.
Yeah, it helps for sure. You have to help yourself most than other people have to.
Very true.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to jump into what advice do you have for people currently? So there's sort of a bunch of audience we have on the call today, right? Yeah. So we have people who are international students who are sort of in a similar situation to what you were about last year, where they're really trying to find a job or trying to find a summer internship to at least build up their resume. Right. And then we have another audience who's plain old, simply like suffering from the pandemic. Their jobs have been impacted, their internships have been canceled. So what advice would you have for those two groups of people?
Yeah, first of all, again, apply as much as you can and get used to video interviews. I know we're very familiar with video platforms now because we're talking to everyone, including our families, on videos. So you have to like do a lot of video interviews, especially in this time. You'll have to record yourself. Sometimes we don't feel comfortable with that, but you have to be comfortable with that. You have to make it personable even when you are recording yourself. That's one. For international students, it's very true that your opportunities are limited. you will hear this over and over again, that we cannot hire you because you don't have a permanent work permit. And that's fine, just move on to the next firm, move on to the next company. Somebody out there will hire you. And again, I mean, it's a numbers game. So the more people you reach out to, your chances get higher. And especially in this pandemic, this is very specific to 2020 and 2021 because of what's happening with the world right now. Find out about companies who are going to be, who are not going to lose their business in this time.
Yeah.
Especially cloud communication or industries that depend on the cloud, they're probably not going to run out of business. They're probably going to make more money. So find those businesses, find those opportunities, and finally, embrace some change, right? So if you're thinking, okay, I can't work outside this specific industry, forget that. Apply to other places too, apply to other industries. So quick note on that. So what happened to me, I was dead set on finding a job in New York City because I just love the New York City vibe and culture there. But I'm now in Denver. And it happened because I opened my mind up that, hey, I want to go wherever life takes me. And then when I have the opportunity, I can come back, right? I can go to New York City again if I want to. Now, you have to be open to all of those. So location-wise, job-wise, industry-wise, role-wise, open yourself up to multiple possibilities. And this especially goes for what's happening in the world right now, where you can't make any choices, right? You have to go out for everything that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's I think really, really insightful, Rhythm. So I think what you mentioned there is, I think that's going to help so many people right now because especially with the pandemic, I think being very sort of stern as to what you're doing or what you want to be doing, I think that's definitely not the right approach. You definitely need to be more flexible and look at other fields, look at other locations, be very flexible in that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just get started, right? Just getting and slowly you could build those relationships and move on to the next.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. So don't be upset if it doesn't happen overnight, in a few weeks or even in a few months. You just have to keep working on it.
That's really insightful. So I think we should jump into the questions and answers segment of this call. So we actually do have a question from the audience. So Mas again is asking, one thing you noticed recruiters notice on your LinkedIn or on your resume in your field. What's one thing?
For sure, that internship that I had, because you have to have substance to talk about. Mm-hmm. So all the employers that I used to talk to over the phone, the recruiters, they used to ask me about my previous internships. So it's really important, like I said, to have some sort of experience, either it's a research or internship. Besides that, that study abroad helped because it gave me some additional things to talk about, which is not related to job. Mm-hmm. But make sure you have stories. So not just bullet points, but stories that you can talk about and explain how that story relates to this job. So you have to be very careful not to mix an experience with a story. But the story can be derived from that experience. And usually people are more related to you if you can share your story rather than just talk about your experience.
Right. Absolutely.
Very true. And I think really to echo that point about if you don't have an internship, not all is lost.
Right.
Be sure to talk about maybe a voluntary experience that you took on, maybe a job on campus that really changed your perspective on things.
Yeah. Presenting the story at the end of the day, right? If you can really, I guess what I'm trying to add on is that even student club experiences, if you were on the executive board of an organization in your school, right? Talk about experiences and bring out the the skills, right, that would apply to the trying to apply to.
Right.
Relevant.
Basically, at the end of the day, you have to make yourself look interesting and sell yourself. That's it.
Yep.
I like to think I'm a very interesting person.
All right. Thanks, Moz, for that question again. So, Rhythm, I think we're almost at the end of our segment here. So let's sort of hear any final thoughts by you. What's your whole, to summarize your conclusion, what would you say is the best learning experience that you've had?
Some hard-earned lessons, maybe.
Yeah, no, any lesson is a good lesson. That's the first lesson that I learned. You don't have to be upset about what's happening right now with the world or your current situation. So if you're a new graduate, definitely reach out to as many people as you can for help.
Mhm.
If it's your mentors, your professors, your friend's friend, reach out to everyone. Build
Alright.
build that network over time, and then reach out to recruiters as well. So
Mhm.
don't feel like they have to reach out to me. You can also reach out to them. And to going back to the topic of today's discussion, like I said, it's very important that you have faith in yourself when nobody else is having faith in you, right? So sometimes when employers send you that email, that rejection email, you might feel very upset, and it's okay to feel like that. It's just a human feeling. But then move on from that feeling, right? Move on to the next chapter. No matter how many times you get that rejection letter, find the courage to move on. Get up from bed and then do whatever you will have to do. Exercise, take a walk, talk to friends, but then move on and then keep working on building those skills.
Mhm.
Making sure those gaps are not there anymore. So one good thing to end this segment of the session would be an analogy with a character arc. So I'm like a movie buff, right? I watch a lot of films. That's why I like to talk about films all the time. So if you think about a good character in a movie, right? Maybe Andy from Shawshank Redemption, if you have seen that movie. So once you start watching that character in the very beginning of the movie, he's a different person. But at the end of the movie, he is completely changed, right? His character arc has been changed completely. He's now a different person. You don't recognize this person anymore. So think of your life um, as a movie, and you are the writer. So you are writing your own character arc. So if you're in the situation where you're struggling, you're Andy from the first 5 minutes of Shawshank Redemption, don't worry about that. You can write a better character arc for yourself by doing all those things that we talked about, building those habits, being persistent, being hungry. And then at the end of your movie, you'll probably come out as a much better character, and then you'll be proud of yourself.
That's so poetic, but it's like so true,
I try.
Absorb that. That was a very interesting analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
that's cool.
So
good story. Yeah.
Yep. So Rhythm,
Yeah.
I think this is pretty much sort of where we like to wrap off. But before we do,
sure.
I know we spoke about this previously. So Rhythm has actually been. Another question. Sorry, before we do sort of jump into that wrap up, we have one question, Rhythm.
Oh.
Did you get nervous to give job interviews when you were critical in that situation? Wow, this is a really good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. So thanks again for the question. I did get nervous. Everyone gets nervous. So especially during panel interviews. So when you are being asked by panelists of people. So I did a panel interview for 2 hours where 5 people were bombarding me with questions for 2 hours, right? So the thing is, you learn over time. The first few times you might be nervous, and that's okay. Over time, you learn not to be nervous and be a little more relaxed. Share your stories as honestly as you can, and the more honest you are, the less nervous you get. I think that's something that I've learned as well. So don't try to like memorize your strengths and weakness all the time. Like, it's okay to keep it in your head, but then try to be more relaxed and honest about them, and people appreciate it. That's how you get less nervous, and it shows in your interviews.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's like being honest about it. That's like being true to yourself. That's good.
Yep.
That's great.
Thanks for that question.
Yep, thanks for the question. So I'm just gonna get up here and wrap up, and then if you guys do want to stay back, there's a special last minute segment. Rhythm has been practicing how to play the guitar for a few months now, so he's gonna play a small, like 30-second, a minute song. So while he gets that set up, I'll just sort of do the takeaways from this and wrap up the session.
Yep.
So Rhythm, whenever you get ready, let me know.
Sure.
But while Rhythm is preparing his setup, you guys can scan the barcode here to access Rhythm's profile. Rhythm's super genuine, super helpful guy. He would love to help you out in any way that he can. with whether that be with your resume or any insights from his interviews or anything like that.
Yeah.
Rhythm's also going to be helping us post content on our LinkedIn. So be sure to follow us on LinkedIn at Careers Uncorked. There's a lot of engaging content. Shout out to Ali A. Today she was able to share with us a job opportunity for a summer internship.
Yeah.
So just keep in touch with us on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to help out in any way we can.
Right.
And with that, any closing thoughts, Trufuz?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely like a lot of awesome things that we got the chance to, like, Rhythm got the chance to share with us and share with everyone. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, everyone just I think this is our second session and we're like just getting started, and there's going to be a lot of great content coming up. So definitely make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, and just and follow Rhythm, and just stay tuned for all the other awesome people we'll be bringing in for the rest of this month.
Yep, definitely. So with that being said, I'm gonna get me and Trufuz off the screen and give the spotlight to Rhythm. So we're really excited for this. Yep. And be sure to leave comments if you guys like the song that Rhythm's about to play.
Rhythm, don't mess up.
Okay, I'm ready if you guys are.
Yep, Rhythm, whenever you're ready, you can go for it.
Okay, I'll go for it.
Rhythm, that was awesome.
Yeah,
So tell us, thanks for that. Tell us a little about the song you just played.
It's a song called "Ain't No Sunshine" by Bill Withers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I know that. Yeah, it's so familiar. But yeah,
That's really cool.
thanks a lot, Rhythm. That was a really
Thank you for having me. I was really excited about it, and I wish all the best for this platform and for you both, and hopefully we get to work together again in the future.
Thanks, Rhythm. We're looking forward to having more content from you.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks a lot, everyone. See you next time. Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. We're shutting down.